You're ready to go?
All right. We'll call this meeting of the Environmental Protection Committee to order at 1:17 p.m. Will you clerk call roll?
Legislator Kelly.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Meeker.
Here.
Garland. Eriksen.
Here. First order of business will be the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, the minutes are approved. We are going to go a little bit out of order today to accommodate some folks' schedules. So first up, we're going to take web first. If someone could come up on these items. We had several bond issues to go over. You should be able to say wherever you want. Yeah, you're good. As long as the microphone.
One can hear it. Should be good.
So Commissioner Dyer, I'll let you take it away in a second. I would just ask if you could give a brief summary of these bond items. These were all discussed at yesterday's very intense public hearing. But if we could just get a brief overview of these items, that'd be what we're looking for.
Sure. Okay. So we'll start out. Resolution approving improvements for the Onondaga County Sanitary District in and for the County of Onondaga, New York. Being here, authorizing issuance of $12.5 million of bonds. And this project is our BSK or Baltimore Sentinel oxygen system replacement project. This is a project that is focused on reliability, so making sure that we are able to be efficient and basically reduce operations and maintenance costs.
And which facility is this going to be in?
Baltimore Sentinel.
Okay. And is that in the, all of just for clarity for folks who are, for anyone who's following along at home, these are all of these items are in the CIP, is that correct?
Correct. They're all in the CIP, and yes.
And these were all scheduled to occur this year in the CIP, I believe. Is that
Correct.
Okay. All right. We can do one at a time. Okay. Any other? Does anyone have any questions on this project? I guess my only question would be: are we replacing it infrastructure with this one?
Yes, with this one we are replacing our existing oxygen system. We are pretty much it's adequate.
Sure. How old is it?
Somewhere in the 30-year range.
Did you get it done? Yeah. That sounds good. Anyone has no other questions? Maybe second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Moving on. B.
Okay, C,
Oh, C, sorry.
a resolution authorizing the issuance of $1,430,000 of bonds of the county of Onondaga, New York, to pay costs of improvements. This project is our department-wide building and site improvement project. So, we do this, once more, we look to continue, serving the county, and, we're looking to repair, replace, renovate various components, throughout our buildings. And it's more about, repair and replace situation, that will be.
Any questions or discussion on this one?
Please get an example of actually it seems it's pretty expensive.
Sure. So, we have brick and concrete work on different buildings. We have overhead doors, replacements, roofing, repairs, things along that line. And those are the major ones that
Any other questions, discussion? I'll make a motion on this one. Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, on to D.
Okay, so D is a resolution authorizing the issuance of $675,000 of bonds. And this project is another department-wide project. This one is for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. And once more, it allows us to continue reliable operations, improve safety, maintain compliance with our regulatory.
Questions or discussion on this one?
Was this one in line with what we had projected on these projects, or was it increased to keep up with current market needs?
I believe this one is in line with what we had.
Question related to this is something that I've spoken with all of it. These improvements, are they kind of keeping us to the status quo, or do you see them improving efficacy, efficiency? Do you see things getting better?
I would say it's a mixture of both. So certain items we need to ensure we're continuing to run. And in that case, we are looking to just take some time to pipe burst or something like that. This is in general, right? If a pipe burst or something like that, we just pipe up and go into a master project. So these department-wide projects are for maintaining the status quo, and we have our larger CIP projects that are focused on efficiency, focused on getting us to better operations.
Any other questions or discussion? On that motion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, on to E.
Okay, I move a resolution authorizing the issuance of $2 million worth of bonds. And this one is related to our metro plants, the annex. Yeah, so this is our Harbor Brook pump station asset renewal project. So once more, this is a bit of a larger project to rehabilitate and upgrade aging pump station, which will improve reliability and maintain safe operations.
And I'm sorry, which facility? Oh, this is going to be
This is the Metro
Okay.
plant, and it's our Harbor Brook pump station that's
Okay.
on the plant.
About how old are we talking? I've been, infrastructure will be replacing.
About 1978.
Any other questions or discussion on this? none, I'll make that motion then. A second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. On to F, motion carries.
Okay. A resolution authorizing the issuance of $2,500,000 worth of bonds. And this one is related to our Metro UV project. And that is a comprehensive asset renewal project. One of those projects that we go through and just look at what they do. We take a hard look at it. This one in particular, did a study on to address to figure out which way we should go. And this ask is to act on that.
You mentioned UV, is this about, is there water treatment that happens with this, or,
So this is water disinfectant.
okay, okay. Is that the primary, item in the bond, or can you describe anything else that this is gonna be addressing?
I know this one is pretty much it's simply focused. It's our UV system that needs upgrading. Again, it's the Metro plant. It is UV system. It was cutting edge when we put it in 40 years ago.
I'm sure it's a lot of people. All right, any other questions, discussion on this one? I'll make that motion then, if there's a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. You're to G now?
Yes.
All right. Let's do it.
A resolution authorizing the issuance of $16.5 million worth of bonds. And this one is related to the Meadowbrook limestone and Virgin rotary drum thickener. So this project, it will help with the once again, the efficiency of the plant. But this one is also focused on odor control, ensuring that we're being good neighbors to the residents around us. And that we're, once again, it will help with the reliability of the plant as well. And
It's located where?
Meadowbrook limestone.
Meadowbrook.
And this one, I believe this one is pursuant to, this is gonna help us comply with the consent order as well. Is that that's my understanding, but is that correct?
Yes, this is consent related.
Okay.
It's in the Brewerton area. Meadowbrook limestone. Right. Yep.
We have a second? I'll do it if we don't. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. On to H.
Okay. A resolution authorizing the issuance of $13,700,000 worth of bonds. And this project is our wastewater transportation system improvement project. So this project is focused on our pipe stock conveyance. Let's see, it is consent related as well. This one handles our pump stations and also the systems that are capturing the.
This is a system-wide item then?
Yes.
And what kind of, sorry for a repeater, what kind of infrastructure are we going to be replacing with this?
Sure. So we have, we're looking at our upgrades at Kirkpatrick Street Pump Station, Woodard Pump Station, looking at sewer lining, things along that line.
Any other questions, discussion on this? Okay. Hearing none, I'll make a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Last one.
Okay, our resolution authorizes the issuance of $400,000 of bonds, and this one is in regards to our Wetzel Road treatment plant, and it's a clarifier rehab and chemical bulk storage improvement project. So we're pretty much looking to improve our primary clarifiers, which are aging, original to the plant. And
So how long would that be if it's original?
this plant was 1971, if I remember correctly.
All right. Good life.
This is a director of growth. And, you want to tell me what a primary clarifier is? Yeah, very.
Be clear.
Primarily.
Clarify, sure. So the primary clarifiers are at the beginning of the treatment process. What it does is once the larger constituents are taken out, such as rags, things along that line, the flow goes into a tank, and then that tank takes out the next level of constituents. So it's slightly finer items that miss the screens. It goes into this tank, which has an approaching arm, and which pulls out all the sludge that's not floating, and then kicks that out to additional treatment and sends the water along a different path through other pipes to go for secondary and tertiary treatment after that.
So it's a very important piece of infrastructure.
Oh, yes,
Thank you for that clarification.
absolutely.
I'd like to move that.
Got a second? I'll do it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
If you wouldn't mind before you leave, probably just ask another question, because it's kind of global with this. We're hearing a lot about this very old infrastructure, bringing it back up to code, or bringing it back up to standard. We saw some stories over the weekend, like a lot of waste, not just human waste, but garbage and whatnot, maybe inter-harbor and things like that. Are these upgrades, can we talk about like pipe conveyance and containment, to help mitigate some of that where we're in these areas that we're trying to beautify and trying to make accessible to people that can help to mitigate a lot of those issues and I recognize with garbage and whatnot can get into the system in a lot of different places. Is any of this going to help to mitigate those issues? Could. And don't feel like you have to guarantee it, but it's hopeful.
Yeah, no, there's never a guarantee there. Right. I wish I could. However, I would say that each of these projects are focused on ensuring that we can continue to clean, we can continue to capture what we capture when it comes to the flowables and the public constituents that are in water. I cannot speak to it specifically handling each individual part or each individual body of water, but one thing that we have to also consider is that a lot of these things come with stormwater runoff, right? And that's not something that what the goal is to treat. At the end of the day, to separate, right? So stormwater versus water, so to speak. It is important that we recognize that there's a very distinct difference, and a lot of these flowables come along when it comes to after larger storms and along that line.
And with these infrastructure upgrades, will that make us have better capacity to deal with those storm events? And I just imagine it pipes are clogged, or there's some grates that are breaking down, things like that.
Yeah, so what it will do is that pretty much all of these projects will allow us to be a little bit more efficient in how we handle these storms. We have specific projects that are for increased capacity. We have specific projects that are for maintaining capacity. And right now, we focus with, I'm not saying most of these are maintaining capacity and ensuring that we can handle what we are currently.
Well, I know a lot of the times issues come from the CSOs, right? And that's being addressed through one project, or at least one capacity.
That's right.
One of the things that I'm thinking about is these 1970 dates that you're giving and how these facilities or capital are way past kind of their useful life. Do we have internally, I'll call it capital management plan that leads to the CIP where we can look at each of the items and thinking about how we have a replacement schedule for them so that we don't go 50 years from now, or that we're not doing so much catch up like we're doing now in terms of what's out there that, is going to fall apart because it's, 60, 70 years old or whatever it might be.
I would say we do have a asset management team within WEP, and the goal of that asset management team is to make sure that we are staying on top of each asset, making sure that we are ensuring that we get the useful life out of it. One thing that we are concerned with is, as you all are concerned with as well, what's the word I'm looking for? The responsible spending of taxpayer dollars. Right? So while these assets are old on the older side, I'm really good to see that website web and the maintenance team and the operations team. They are on a daily basis taking care of different situations. So we don't look at things on an age basis. We look on it mainly as the operations of it. If it's reaching the end of its useful life, are there things internally that we can do to allow us to continue to get the proper operations out of the building and out of the assets? And once we see on the horizon there is something that could possibly fail, that's when we usually come in and take care of these capital projects. But before that, it's all about continued maintenance, right? Making sure that we're operating within the parameters that we are that we're given, right? And making sure that we're squeezing as much operations and life, squeezing as much life out of each asset as we possibly can.
Well, that's what I wanted to say too. I mean, these were all operational, functional facilities, right? It's not as if we're, locking the door and throwing away the key at it. I imagine that there's a threshold with any infrastructure where you come to a point where suddenly investing in new infrastructure becomes a more efficient method. You know what? We think we can fix this. We think that's going to give us the best bang for our buck. So it's not as if these facilities aren't doing their job, right?
Correct. They're currently operational. They're doing their jobs, and at the end of the day, we're telling the facilities that they can do more.
I think that's all that's all we have for Commissioner Dyer today. So thanks for being here, and thanks for going through everything. If we can move on to the next item, we're going to take the Council on Environmental Health at where it is number 2, and we'll do the rest of the agenda from there. Yes. We've got updates from the Council on Environmental Health. Coming in to give us a brief overview.
Hi, everyone. So I'm just giving you an overview of the group. This is a group that's been struggling with its existence. I came to the group back in, I would say, pre-COVID, like 2008, But over the years, I was just a serving member of the chair for years. The chair recently resigned back in last year. And then in September, we were down to about 4 or 5 council members. And sort of looked around the room with people still. I sort of was the one there. So I'm now the chair, and one of our problems is in my past years of being part of this committee, I found it a very valuable experience to hear, such as when people you just heard from, but it would be a citizens committee of local, as you can see in the local law, cross-section of people with expertise. And it would also include a representative from the county legislature and also from the executive's office. But in the past few years, in the last year, we've been struggling with the appointment process. And I think just due to retirements within different offices, the appointment letters and getting people appointed has become stalled. I had a conversation with their office over there yesterday, and they said we're working on it. I am currently not pushing or having any meetings because we're not officially appointed anymore. So we serve 2-year terms. And I don't really feel like we have any legitimacy. So what I'm working with the county exec's office is to get these letters out. I have people that would like to be appointed, but we don't have that yet. So we've been working on that for a period of time. The other piece I would say is I think this can play a valuable role to the legislature and hopefully the executive's office and also saying, no, this person that I just met at this meeting would be a great person to be on the council that want, because we hear from our cross section, as you can see in the local law, the mandate being that there be stakeholders that involve county government, county health. And in my past, when I first started serving on it, it was a broad representation. You had somebody that represented farming, somebody that represented housing, just a cross section. So the debate and discussion during those meetings when we had a presentation was not only informative for the stakeholders, but we could give informed advisory to the county execs in the county legislature. And if you just see what I've included, just or if you've never heard of this council, it's just an example of an agenda, meeting minutes, and topics that have been discussed and recommendations that were made. The other piece that's been sort of slowing us up and also carrying out the duties of the club is in the past, there was always a staffing member within the Department of Health that took minutes, that set up the meetings. And the person who did it, that when I came aboard, he was there for like 15 years as a county planner. And then he retired, and then another person came along out of the county health office, and then she took another job, and then the person who took the job in September, he took another job. So, and when I've been talking to the people who oversee county, this council, they're just trying to get their staffing back to normal. So we also don't even have a staff person who would normally help us carry out these minutes and agendas, because we're all volunteers. That's the thing I want to stress is that we're advisory, listen to various issues, and then hopefully write reports for the county executive and the county legislature to be able to have informed citizen input into policy proposals. And I hope these documents are helpful if you're not aware of it, and you can answer your questions. If not today, today.
We've got a couple time constraints now, but
I have a couple of these.
yeah, but what is there anything that we can be doing to help? It sounds like you're in touch with the exec's office, but to
Yeah.
help with the appointment process.
I think what, I'm just waiting for them to send me appointment letters, and then I want the process to be followed. I'm not always sure if it was always followed correctly, where those appointments should then come to the county legislature for approval. So that way everybody says, oh, we want this person. So, but I feel like the ball's gotten rolling. I don't know how quickly it will roll, but I finally got the person. I talked to him on the phone, and I believe in this council. I think it can serve a valuable role, but it needs to be staffed properly. Someone can take minutes, help put together a report. It's one of the conditions of law. It says it should be a yearly report produced. So I think what I can do is follow up with the county exec's office to see if they're coming along, if they've got any questions. But I think the other piece is we just need to also find the numbers. But I'm not even going to ask anybody to serve it.
Yeah. When's the last year that they're, just for our reference, so that we can have maybe a better idea of the kind of thoughts and advice that this board generates? Do you know when the most recent year that an annual report was issued?
That I would have to ask the date, but I would say that I've witnessed as being part of the meeting is the notes, the meeting minutes were very extensive. And if you were, and I gave you, for instance, the report, for instance, when Travis Glazer was representing the county office, you can see the notes were pretty extensive. So what I would say often these meeting minutes, they were so well done, they almost comprised the report, but I would like to get it back to a yearly report. But I think the key to that is just making sure we have somebody within the county health that can do that position. I mean, obviously, the council members would input to that. We would always approve minutes, give feedback on the minutes, agendas, same report.
What vacancies did you say are currently?
I just got an email from the person who was out for a while. He's having health issues. We're supposed to have that. So currently we have two people we need to be officially appointed, and then there's myself and two others. So I would say 10 of the 5, but none of us have received appointment letters. So I wouldn't, and what I would like to do is get 4 more. But again, I would welcome anybody's recommendation for this position. I don't want to say what I'm the person to decide or not.
And you don't have to, decide, but if you could describe what you would think the characteristics of someone serving on this board.
I think an expertise in an area. You know, I always enjoyed the people, the person, for instance, we did this, the people that came, that were on the board, for instance, one was a farmer. It was always interesting to hear the farming perspective on issues, whether it be land use development, CAPOs, different regulations. I think we also had a developer, so you got to hear the housing issues. So if there's concerns about, you know, land use development again or some other issue. And also just, I think somebody who is very knowledgeable and interested in current local policy, right? If you don't want all, you want some generals. For instance, my background, I'm a social studies teacher in the school district, but I have an undergrad in environmental management. So, and that's one of the reasons why I think when Russ was helping to run this committee at the time, they wanted a connection with certain school district. And maybe I could give that perspective on urban issues that students and school districts facing. And, you know, I'll just put aside, when I was serving this, I didn't realize all the county health department does. You know, when you talk about gas and water testing, it never occurred to me until we heard a presentation from the county health department. They're not just responsible for skiing on the lake and, you know, the different county properties for swimming. They're responsible for all the pools. And so right there, it just said, wow, the amount of work they have to do. So I think that's the value of this council, is for that people who are in the private sector learn the valuable services that the county is providing. You know, another one would be cables, you know, septic systems that people were running into. You know, large farms next door, the housing developments, all septic. That was another issue. And the tech issue came up. So I think anybody that has an expertise or in general interest, you know, those two.
Any other areas? Sorry.
Yeah, but
I think I might be piggybacking, I might be stealing your thoughts, sorry. But based on, you're talking about things you have worked on, what are some issues present day that you wish you had a team to dig in with you? So what do you see as pressing environmental concerns that you would like to see?
where do I start? I would say one is, you know, and everybody talks about Micron, right? You have different committees, but I think they're just taking a more nuanced view of what are the potential issues around land use development and around the development of Micron. Will it affect people's septic systems? I'm sure there's been a report written, right? That would be one. I think the other important one, and will it affect the roll-up, right? But another issue is farmland. How do we preserve? You know, we'd always get a report from the soil and water about the value of farmland and what they were doing. I think that is a critical issue right now, is that we're looking at how we're managing our land use, balancing the economic value of farmland and housing development, which is all under more pressure with Micron. And I think, to me, and that's one of the things that's been on this committee, is I've come to learn, wow, we have economic value that I never realized. I did not realize the value of farming in this county, how much it brings in, right? There's a lot of tension right now between solar farms and large farming practices, you know, just various issues. But those are just two that jump to mind. Sure. And but there's more.
I have another question, but I don't want
I was
to.
gonna say, why don't you go ahead? I know he's, the presenter's got some time constraints.
I got another 1 minute. I'm just watching my time. I know what I can do to get there.
In my last thing, in terms of engaging the public, do you see this as this committee as something that has a public facing? I know you issue reports to the county to give us perspective. Do you see a public education component to this, or a public engagement place, with just another point of contact where the public could be informed on some issues?
I think it's got a way to inform the public. I think that was one of the things with the ear tick issue, Lyme disease, was Travis Gregg would come to us to get us input about, you know, what they were trying to market, let people know about here's the issue, how to go about it. And I think also all the meetings are public. Sometimes newspaper reporters would show up and report on what we're seeing. The public is always enjoyed, is invited to come to the meetings to hear just as this, and to hear the different people speak about the issue. Whatever issue is passed for that meeting. I hope this is helpful.
I think so. I learned a lot more and
Yeah.
learned a lot more than I already knew.
So, and I hope the doctors have, but you're welcome to reach out to me anytime, and I hope we can get the council working.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me
Thanks for
here.
coming.
I appreciate you. Dave, thank you for letting me set the hydrant. And,
Before we get to, have a fair amount of time for Cornell Cooperative Extension. Before we get there, to my legislative council, is all right. If we quickly deal with DEC.
yes.
DEC is going to be coming here next month. One of the items we want to talk about is what was found in Onondaga Lake. But before they got here, to get some more immediate answers about this, we were able to ask in writing a few questions and get some good answers. So we're going to legislative council here.
Yes, thank you. So last month, when, I think it was last month.
It just came in this morning. Yeah,
Came in
yes, we need to forward this.
I sent a question a little while ago, and it came in this morning. I was literally sitting over there when the email came in. I submitted them to the clerk, so that we part of the public record. Is that correct? That's the be available, and I'm happy to forward this along as well. So it was just last month we were talking to the Soil and Water.
Yes.
And I asked a couple of folks some questions and they didn't have the answer. So they said, best resource right now would be to talk to DEC. Some of these responses are a little bit long, so I might truncate some of them a little bit as I'm sharing these just for the sake of time, but they will be in the record. So one of the first things I asked, this pertains to the marina project on the eastern shore of Onondaga Lake here in Liverpool, where there was a story about mercury being discovered. I asked how much mercury was found, and the response is 7 samples within the marina basin had mercury levels ranging from 0.031 milligrams per kilogram to 5.7 milligrams per kilogram. 8 of the 17 samples had concentrations that exceeded the Onondaga Lake ROV mercury cleanup goal of 2.2. Note that while the work in the marina is within the limits of Onondaga Lake, it is a small area, capping approximately 1.9 acres compared to 475 acres. And volume of material removal approximately 2,500 cubic yards compared to 2.1 million cubic yards. Second question, is there a safe or acceptable level for mercury and how far above that level was this? The Onondaga Lake Monitoring and Maintenance Plan includes a record of decision which sets the mercury probable effects concentration at 2.2 milligrams per kilogram or lower. The mercury PDC is based on direct toxicity to sediment dwelling organisms, and as such, the mercury PDC of 2.2 needs to be met at each location. Exceeding the PDC of 2.2 results in an action level at which remediation is required. I asked, has all the mercury removed from the marina area, and how was this accomplished? The work in the marina has not yet been performed. Onondaga County will have more information about the work schedule. This is something to circle back to. To meet the required depths of the marina, approximately 2,450 cubic yards of sediment will be removed from the perimeter of the marina basin when mercury concentration tested below the 2.2 value. Samples will be tested post-excavation to confirm the remaining sediment contaminant levels are below the ROV remediation goals. This is one of the lengthier responses. Forgive me if I'm moving forward a little bit. The cap will be consistent with the remedy performed in other parts of the lake and will consist of a 1-foot cap that includes 6 inches of sand covered by 6 inches of gravel. Further details are available in the hyperlink to the Lake Monitoring and Maintenance Plan Appendix D. In order to accomplish this, it states that the marina will need to be drained in order to get at that. So we'll see what that actually entails and looks like. Once the mercury is removed, sediment testing below the 2.2 metric decline will be removed and disposed of at an off-site approved facility. There's as much detail about that. As the county is performing this work, the county is responsible for properly transporting and disposing of any contaminated sediment. We'll want to look into how we are managing that. 2.2, all right, will be isolated from the environment by applying an engineered cap, as outlined again. There's a hyperlink for the plan. Onondaga County is the lead agency on this project, so we are the entity that bears responsibility financially, materially, and otherwise for remediating the issue. The DEC provides oversight in all aspects of remedial activities, including reviewing and approving plans and ensuring work is performed in accordance with those plans and applicable regulations. That is their role in the process. The news article that many of us learned of this in, myself included, said that, quote, there was virtually no direct danger to people. The explanation provided is a primary pathway for exposure to humans to mercury through consumption of animals that have eaten other animals that have mercury. We also saw a second of the other article about fish still bearing a lot of mercury in that lake. Mercury is bioaccumulative heavy metal, meaning that its health effects biomagnify up the food chain. When a larger fish eats smaller fish, it consumes the mercury that was in the smaller fish, and the mercury that was in that food the smaller fish ate. More information on how people are exposed to mercury is available in, I have another hyperlink, how people are exposed to mercury. I asked, reporting also indicates there are no plans for expanded testing in the lake. Do you believe additional testing in other areas is warranted? Why or why not? During the remedial investigation and during the long-term monitoring of the lake bottom subsite of the Onondaga Lake Superfund site, sediment sampling was performed outside of the marina basin and it did not exceed lake criteria. This includes the location at the mouth of the marina and another location to the east of the marina. Samples collected at multiple depths at both locations in 2000 indicated concentrations below the criteria. Samples collected at the mouth in 2021 also did not exceed the criteria. Monitoring performed under the maintenance plan has not indicated that additional mercury exceedances are present in the lake. If ongoing future monitoring indicates potential concern, then additional sampling would be performed. Finally, does the presence of mercury suggest the potential presence of additional chemical elements or compounds that could be hazardous to humans or wildlife, and should we be testing for those? Response: sediment sampling conducted by the county was tested for an array of compounds, including volatile organic compounds, VOCs, semi-volatile organic compounds, SVOCs, pesticides, PCBs, and metals. Mercury was the only contaminant that exceeded the Onondaga Lake ROP criteria. Not to suggest there aren't other things, but that they are at least under the threshold as set by the ROP. That is the extent of the information I received on that. I wish I could answer more questions if you have them, but I would like for this group to think about questions you might want to follow up on when you see us here in person in June.
Sounds good. Yeah, if we can, I'll have a copy of that. That'll give everyone a chance to think of their questions for the DEC. Unfortunately, they could not be here today, but they will be here in June. So we just want to get whatever information we could out there sooner rather than later, and then we can have hopefully more of a dialogue next month.
I would also say I'd encourage invite questions pertaining to this from the public. There's a citizen watch group in my district that's paying attention to things happening on the western shore of the lake, and I'm anticipating having questions about that for the DEC when we're doing it in June. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Legislator Thompson. Next up, and thank you for your patience, to David Stevel for your patience with us going a little bit out of order, but we're ready to get some cooperative discussion.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just use the microphone.
Okay, bring a little energy into the room here, so excuse my backside, everybody. I apologize, I'll try to slow down a little bit. So first of all, thank you very much to this committee and the legislature for taking the time to learn about all of our agencies here in the county. I know this is really going to load for everybody trying to learn everything, and I really appreciate it. So thank you very much for the legislators that are joining us today besides the committee. My name is David Stevel. I'm Executive Director of Cornell Cooperative Extension. I've been at that job for about 14 years now. My technical and professional background is actually in forestry, as worked as a forester for 25 years. So, let's talk about Cornell Cooperative Extension. So, just some quick overview. So, just to give you an idea of the amount of work that we get done in just 1 year. Last year, we had about 450 different events and workshops, and connected with over 34,000 direct participants. In addition to that, through media, we connected with 1.6 million people. We've been here since 1913, so we've been around a while. Originally started out as Farm Bureau, and in the early 1950s, the federal government said you can no longer use federal money to advocate for things. So we split Bureau. Farm Bureau is the advocacy and lobby group for agriculture issues, and we're strictly on the education side. So what are we? When I think from a governance standpoint, what we most closely resemble is actually a school district. So we're given our existence by county law, 224, which is actually a state law, and we exist as a support. We have 501c3 status with the IRS, but we are not a not-for-profit. We are not employed. We do not receive funding from Cornell University. And Cornell University has two sides to it. There's the endowed side, and then there's the statutory side, where the College of Ag Life Sciences and the College exist. We're local. We've been around for over a century. We're very fortunate in that all of our employees get state benefits, and we get a little bit of funding from New York State to help develop programming. We're unique in that New York State is the only state extension system where our county associations are autonomous from its land grant university. So we literally exist as our own little thing here in Onondaga County. Every county in New York State has a county association. But if we were in North Carolina, I would be an employee of North Carolina State University. If I was in Indiana, I'd be employed by Purdue. And one of the really cool things about the inception of the extension system in New York is it was the belief that the government closest to the people is the government that works the best. And I don't think it's any coincidence that New York State has the most vibrant extension system in the entire U.S. Because when I think about it, I was in North Carolina State. I'd be one of 1,800 employees, but since I'm in Onondaga County, I'm one of 20. So for good or bad, I feel my effects pretty quickly along with all of our other staff. Also, when you think about how smart it is to really know our county, our culture, our politics, our landforms, every county in New York State is unique. Even though we're right next door to Madison County with about the same level of agriculture, Madison County is very different than Onondaga County, mainly because it doesn't have this large urban and suburban core. So we're very different. So all extension programming within counties is custom fit to the county. The thing about sitting down in Ithaca there, it's kind of hard to imagine actually what Onondaga County is. And so we're very grateful for this system. So a quick history lesson, how this all got going. Happened with the Morrill Act in 1862, which Abraham Lincoln signed into law. And it sought to democratize education by providing the chance for higher education to the working class. Because up to that point in America, our higher education looked like philosophy, rhetoric, and religion. Very little effort was being put into life sciences such as agronomy and animal husbandry. So that was two very important things that it did to bring America along. In 1887, the Hatch Act was passed, and with it, experiment stations were set up across the U.S. And ours, very fortunately, is right down Route 20 in Geneva. That is a New York State Experiment Station, and now it's been rebranded as the Agritech Center for New York State. Okay, so now we got decades going along. People down at Cornell and all the other land grant universities are all doing this great research. Better ways to plow your field, better ways to improve genetics of your farm animals, agronomy, all this other stuff. The issue was all that research is sitting on the shelf and not being put to use. So here comes the idea of extension. So the very first ag extension agent was in Broome County. His name was John Barron. And he's the one that actually brought the research off the shelf down to the farm fields and met the farmers where they were. It was such a good idea that in 4 years, every county in the United States had an ag extension agent. That's how good of an idea it was. So if you could picture yourself, Kevin, in 1900, and all of a sudden you get an idea, you heard this great thing down in Ithaca, you would have had to hook up your horse to the wagon, and then clip-clopped, probably a day down, hang out there, a day back, all to get a little bit of information. And the idea was, let's bring the people that have that knowledge out to the farms. So Kevin doesn't have to ride his horse every day down there. So besides taking that knowledge off the shelf, there's more to it than that. There's also the process of pulling together stakeholders when you have an issue or a challenge, getting stakeholder input for an issue. Let's suppose it's ticks and Lyme disease. That is the issue that is occurring within a community. Get together, discuss what needs to be done, and then it's our job to be the conduit down to Cornell University in order to find the latest research. And in the case of tick and Lyme disease, we had some of the leading experts in the entire United States down there. Our job is to find that research, translate it into something knowable, bring it back to the communities with the workshops, and deliver it to the communities. And then very important is to get the measures and the impacts of that program delivery and then inform the research process. So a lot of times when we have problems, other questions come up. So it works in reverse. It's not simply a one-way street. We help to inform the researchers as to the next projects they should be working on. So literally, in our name, Extension, our job is to reach down to the universities, and not just Cornell, but Purdue, Rhode Island, State, to get that research-based knowledge and put it to work for our communities and our citizens. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do a condensed version of this, and let's organize it this way. We basically work within 4 main program areas: 4-H youth development, agriculture, natural resources, and health and nutrition. So what I have laid out here today is we deliver 71 different educational programs here in the county. I can't go into detail with all of them. I'm going to give you a list of what we're doing in each one, and I'm going to pull out 3 or 4 out of each area so we can get through this. So, first up, natural resources. And I have on this list, and we'll follow up with giving you a copy of these, because I think it's really important that everybody understand what county departments we're working with and what other outside agencies we work with on these separate program areas. So to quickly recite what we're doing in natural resources: tick, Lyme, and deer, tick identification, water quality, both Skaneateles Lake and the Disco Lake, stream studies, master forest owner program, community tree stewards, community tree buy program, hazard tree training, arborist certification training, tick research, arthropod-borne diseases, insect identification, wildlife issues, community deer management planning, rain barrel workshops, rain garden workshops, landscaping for water quality, the climate store program, waste streams, and then finally outdoor safety, which largely comprise of noxious weeds and insects, disease-carrying insects. So you can see we do a lot of work with WEP, and that's one of the contracted funding sources we have from the county. Of course, we're doing a lot of stuff with the Office of the Environment, but we're working with county parks and the health department in this area as well. So you've got that animated, Hillary. Good job. That's kind of creepy. So to pull a couple of things out, tick and Lyme. And I would include that with the community deer management. We've been doing that work since 2015. And actually, we're not too far from the area that inspired all this. There was just a huge rise in Lyme disease cases actually up in this area and down through the Bellevue neighborhood. So we got to work on that. Currently, what we're doing is a lot of work with personal protection. We work with trying to lower deer numbers. That's kind of like the landscape level of trying to mitigate tick bites. But the best thing to be working on, we constantly work at it, is personal protection. What you can be doing, because you never know where you're going to pick up a tick. Even if there's work being done in your village or your park to mitigate the number of white-tailed deer there, if you decide to go hiking some other place, you've still got to worry about getting ticks. So our area of tick and Lyme really works on the ecology side of it. So everything that has to do with ticks, high tick populations, how to keep them off you, up into including how to properly remove a tick. Once you've been infected with the disease, that's not our area of expertise. But bearing in mind that we talk a lot about Lyme disease, but deer ticks carry 6 other neurological diseases. And I think when we actually expand that out to include Asian longhorn ticks or the Lone Star tick, there's a whole other buffet of diseases coming with those as well. So we're always working on the ecology kind of things, trying to help keep those ticks off you to begin with, so you don't have to worry about diseases. Okay, community forestry. We've been working on this since 2004, very famously. We got kicked off because of the Labor Day storm. And so this includes the community tree sort program, where we take your fellow citizens and we train them up in the fundamentals of tree planting and tree care and selecting the right species of tree to go in the right place. And I know we have a tree planting volunteer in the audience today that was recently out helping to plant trees. Beyond that, we're doing a lot of work with each of our municipalities with the tree buy program and also community forestry planning. Last year, we helped to write $140,000 in DEC grants we brought to 2 of our communities. And we're currently working on a grant proposal into the DEC. It'll be $700,000 to a combined number of 10 municipalities. So there's a lot of different aspects of community forestry. We used to call it urban forestry, but we want to make sure we include any place that had streets such as villages. So we used to call it urban forestry. Okay, water quality, very important topic here in Onondaga County. Skaneateles Lake, of course, is the main drinking water supply for a large part of Syracuse. And so what happens out on that landscape is very important to the people that consume that water. We work mostly on the residential effects of that water quality. So a lot of work with shoreline armoring and making sure that we're getting septic tanks pumped and we're limiting spraying on lawns. Yeah, beside that, work with municipal DOTs to limit the non-point source pollution coming out of road ditches. And on the agriculture side, we work with farmers that get environmental funding to help mitigate and lessen their tax liability from that source of income. And now we've begun working on Otisco Lake as well. Otisco Lake has always been part of the aqua system, and I don't think anybody really appreciated it this year when we had the water main break up in the Clay neighborhood there, and all of a sudden it saved our bacon. So now we're paying attention to that. We're paying attention to the loss of hemlocks up in those ravines that add a lot of sediment into the lake. So that's a big part of what we're doing. The climate sewer program, something brand new for us. We now have got somebody that's trained and certified to teach and coach. And basically this will be a volunteer program where your fellow citizens will be looking to pick up climate projects. And we'll be shepherding them through that, and lots of work to do. Okay, agriculture and food systems. So farmland protection, Don just mentioned that. That's something we've been working on steadily and something we're very proud of since 1997 and the very first farmland protection plan We basically stopped the erosion and loss of farmland to development and actually reversed the trend. So to give it an idea, 1965, we had 300,000 acres of farmland here in Onondaga County. By the mid-90s, that had dropped to half, 150,000 acres. That's how much we lost. And that's when the Farmland Protection Plan was developed. And since that time, we have stopped the loss and reversed it. Now we're back up to 175,000 acres of farmland. And with that, the capital that has been brought in because of the purchase of those development rights by New York State has brought in about $25 million in capital to our farms. The other area that we're working farmland protection is to work with farm businesses to make them profitable, because one of the very best things we can have for farmland is economic protection, that they're actually profitable to run farms. Okay, so going to the rest of these, the Onondaga Grown Program, the Farm Fest Program, 5th grade Dairy Day, which will be happening in June, coming up shortly, Ag Literacy, Food Preservation, Value-Added Production, Agritourism, Farm Worker Health, Avian Flu, Spotted Winged Drosophilis, Spotted Lanternfly, Soil Testing and Interpretation, New York State DEC Pesticide Credits, the Master Gardener Program, Urban Farming, Food Aggregation, Voice of the Farmer Garden, CNY Regional Market, maple production, and then native pollinators for orchards. So hit a couple highlights. Of course, there's a lot of news about the CNY regional market. We've been in on writing most of the proposals that have gone in the last 3 years. Really happy that we got that first $5 million bump to help with the food aggregation site and processing. Really great news that in the state budget, we've got $18 million set aside to continue with improvement of the CNY regional market. So we're looking forward to that. On-farm Dairy Day, Ag Literacy. These are things that are all meant to connect our consuming public in Onondaga County with the farms that produce so much for us. So to give you an idea, the importance of agriculture in our county. So we are the 10th largest ag economy in the entire state. We're the 7th largest dairy county. We're number 10 in apples, number 16 in vegetables, number 10 in field crops. I guess prior to Micron coming in, it's our 3rd largest economic sector in the county. But the one thing I really hold out is the value of all this. It's not just the economic aspect of this. It's the ability that we do so much to feed ourselves. Number 1 ag economy in the entire state. Can anybody guess what county it is? It's down on Long Island.
Suffolk.
Correct, Suffolk. Suffolk County makes so much money, but it is with cut flowers and fancy foods. They don't feed a whole lot of people. We produce enough food in this county to feed 350,000 people a year. Now think about this. We have about 482,000 people in this county. We probably at this point, when we look at actually commercial farms, we probably have about 120 commercial farms. And when you start thinking about the percentage of our citizens in this county that farm, it's 1/10 of 1% of our population. Yet they manage to feed 350,000 people a year. And I want everybody to really take this home. Is now you think about how marginalized that group of people is and how important they are to us, because what they're bringing, and I think about this, we did ag literacy down at the Dr. King School, and just a couple blocks away is the Upstate Niagara dairy plant that is employing so many people out of that neighborhood. And nobody really understands that that plant doesn't exist if the milk 10 miles south isn't coming into that plant. So it's really important to keep that connection in mind. Okay, we're working on ag workforce development. We just submitted a proposal for $400,000 and a chance to work with CNY Work. If you look at it, one of the top two issues, every time we talk to farms, one of them is always farm labor. We have communities that are underemployed, literally 10 miles from those farms, yet we're bringing in farm workers from half a continent away to work here. And the one thing we've never really done well is we've never really worked to make that connection over 10 miles between that underemployed community and the farms that need labor so much. So we're really excited. Hopefully we get that proposal and really looking forward to working with CNY Works, because to this point, there has been no connection between CNY Works and our farms. So hopefully it works out. Our Master Gardener program, probably our biggest volunteer program, 50 Master Gardeners, and the Blocks and Bloom program. And so we pick a different neighborhood every year in the city of Syracuse. That's a little bit downtrodden, and I call it a little bit of neighborhood shaming. But the idea is we get this house dressed up with a nice neighborhood of want to do the same thing. It's worked really well in Rochester. We've been doing this program for now. And then finally, a word about the Voice of the Farmer Garden program, because we actually have a spring gardening workshop tonight out at the New York State Fairgrounds. So has anybody seen the Voice of the Farmer Garden at the New York State Fairgrounds? It's a little green oasis in the middle of all that concrete and Ferris wheels and ride-dough and stuff. So make sure you get out there to visit. We were contracted with the Eggs and Market to install this. We have 40 raised beds. We just put in an orchard. We have grapevines. And again, it's about making connection with the public with everything that we actually grow in New York State. We try to represent as much of that as possible. But the great thing about Onondaga County, outside of New York State Fair, it's a place where we can teach our residents how to garden. So we're bringing school kids to teach them how to plant up gardens and how to grow and make that farming connection. So you get a chance, come on out. Okay, I gotta hustle up now. All right, health and nutrition. So I did want to put in, advocate a little bit here. Our main health and nutrition program over the past 10 years has been the SNAP-Ed program. SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. We've been the ones doing the educational part of it. So over the past 10 years, we've had workshop attendance of 30,000 participants. That's in this county. We were tasked with managing this on a regional basis, so we had up to 6 other counties that we were had oversight on. And the fundamental thing is teaching people how to safely cook, how to acquire, how to take their limited resources and do the best they can for their families. We have collected over 110 community partners to help get this programming out. So everything from cooking to food safety. It's been a tremendous program. We brought $11 million into Onondaga County in the process of doing this program. The sad news is this all ends September 30th this year. So a little bit of advocacy. I have been promoting the idea of hopefully finding some bridge funding. We think for $200,000 a year, we can keep this same work going here in Onondaga County. So 3,000 people a year getting educated on how to structure resources. So a couple other highlights with health or SNAP-Ed nutrition. We've ramped up our food preservation program to help with food security and trying to stretch the produce that you're growing out of your garden or the produce you buy from the CNY regional market. And finally, our work with avian flu. So avian flu has touched us in 2 ways. Number one is a threat to our dairy herds, which is not a good thing. But also on the human side of it, we helped the health department get a number of our dairy farm workers immunized with seasonal flu, because the worry and the threat is the combination of avian flu recombining with our seasonal flu would be not a good thing. So I want to say it'd be a lot worse than COVID. So that's what we've been working on there. Okay, and finally, youth and family, 4-H youth and family development. So our 4-H summer camp, our 4-H youth fair, 4-H clubs, our archery program, public presentations, sewing, cooking, animal sciences, Coleman lanterns, orienteering, gardening, youth projects, youth mental health and educator training, character at camp, capital days, team leadership, and finally positive youth training. I know we have a 4-H volunteer sitting here that helped us at Youth Fair last year, Judge Projects. Thank you very much. So a couple of features with this, youth mental health. We've applied for funding, and youth mental health is primary importance to us. Our environmental summer camp, and a big thank you to Onondaga County Parks and Syracuse City Parks for hosting our summer camps. This is our 3rd year doing it, and it basically all the reservations were done within about 2 weeks. It's getting really popular, and we do a lot of environmental programming there. And the one thing I'd like to say that sets 4-H apart is no matter what we're doing, whether it's a cow, whether it's a trout stream, whether it's sewing, whatever we're doing, the primary importance of the activity, it's basically about always instilling positive youth development into a child. Encouraging them to be respectful of others, to be responsible, to be kind, all those things, making sure they know when they're doing good and encouraging them to do better. So, we don't stand pat. There's a lot of things that we develop that go on to be other organizations. And so just some of the things that we've provided foundations for the development of Jubilee Farms, the Brady Farm, the Gifford Zoo Teaching Garden, Syracuse Grows, the RISE Agriculture Program, OEC Forestry Program, SASFA, Park Association, Syracuse City Parks Gardens, the Dr. King School, Salt City Harvest Farm, Municipal Tree Committees and USA Recognition, the Syracuse Urban Food Forest, and the Elmwood Park Sugaring Program, Community Rain Gardens, and the Southwest Community Garden. So how do we get it all done? Managed to do this with 20 staff, 150 volunteers, 11 elected board members, and 2 appointed. And we have a couple of our board members here, several volunteers here, tree planters, 4-H volunteers. And so 11 of our board members are elected and 2 are appointed from the ledge. And thank you to Chairwoman Nicole Loss for getting that done so quickly for us this year. Appreciate that. Okay, so what's our funding look like? So 15% of our funding comes from Onondaga County. 20% of it comes from New York State. 62% of it comes from contracts. And federal isn't 0, but it's 0.4%, so it's next to 0. Okay, so these are the emerging issues we're looking forward to. I already talked about the SNAP Ed program and nutrition education. Why regional markets ramping up. We hope to get that proposal for agricultural workforce. We're staying tuned into avian flu, youth mental health, after school enrichment programs, and finally farm worker health. Those are the things that we're going to be working on moving forward. And now, hopefully this works. We have a quick video to bring a smile to everybody's face. Click again.
Onondaga 4-H offers summer camp to youth all over the county, all summer long. Our camp programming is possible thanks to our partnerships with Onondaga County Parks and Syracuse City Parks.
I love 4-H camp.
It's a very fun summer camp.
It was fun, like all the teamwork we did. It's really fun. This place is amazing, and if you're a person that likes nature, you should come here.
My favorite activity is definitely hiking. All these parks that we go to, they're just beautiful, amazing trails, tons of cool sights to see.
I joined 4-H because I really see the impact it has on youth when we're looking at the development of skills such as leadership, confidence, responsibility.
With the 4-H integration And all of the science and research behind 4-H programming, we really focus on positive youth development. So everything that we're doing has that focus, and that's what really drew me to this opportunity.
It was so fun. We all had teamwork. We got to learn how to do different knots. We didn't even know what the knots were at first. It was so good. And they kept it. What I really liked was the fishing activity. When we threw the fishing rod, building that cool barrier in the water.
We go collect bugs and look through a microscope.
I really like archery. I didn't get a bullseye, but I was really close. I really like the archery. It's really fun. Some people you don't know, but you make more friends. Like him, I didn't even know him at first, but now he's my friend.
4-H camp is so different from any camp that I ever attended as a kid. There's the nature element, of course, just they're outside all day learning about all the natural elements. There's so many different educators that come in to talk about so many different topics, fishing, trees, ticks, geology. There's just such a variety of topics all around nature, which is really exciting. And that we have so many professionals that come in and talk about this. These are professional arborists, professional state workers, people who have advanced degrees in these topics, which is just really unique to 4-H camp, I think.
I've been utterly amazed by like the collaborators that we've had come in, whether they're from the DEC, from Cornell itself, or just like local people in the area.
What's so exciting about 4-H camp is that we are not just doing different activities, we are really integrating our 4-H's into everything that we do. So our head, hands, heart, and health. When we're using our head, we're encouraging the children to be problem solving, thinking about their actions and their words. We're using our hands to help and share. We're using our hearts to build new friendships, practice our empathy and our kindness. And when we take care of our health, we're really thinking about how we can take care of our bodies and our minds. So they're practicing that all throughout the week. We talk about it a lot. We integrate it into everything that we do. I want to emphasize that 4-H camp is for everyone. Whether you have a lot of experience outside in nature or you're feeling unsure, we want everyone to come enjoy this experience, learn new things, make new friends, and have fun with us at 4-H camp.
So I see time, just so I don't have any time for
All right,
questions.
thank you, David. If there are one or two questions, we do need to set up for our next committee meeting in a minute, but otherwise, thank you for getting us good information to download this afternoon. I appreciate it. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we need a motion to adjourn. I'll make that motion.
I will second that motion.
All right, all in favor? We're adjourned until June 21st, I think. All right, we're adjourned until June.
Stay tuned.
So next week. Yeah, we're adjourned until June 16th, I believe. 1:15. Oh, maybe it's 2:35.
Trading places. Trading places.